official podcast of DogsDaily.com, a Sports Illustrated channel.
Gets to the edge. Sonny Michel will send the Dogs home to the championship game.
If you're looking for the latest Georgia Bulldog news in football, basketball, baseball, and recruiting, then you're in the right place.
Anthony Edwards with the jam. Are you kidding me?
Hosted by Dogs Daily writers Jeremiah Stoddard, Kyle Funderburk, and Jonathan Williams.
Here's a pitch. And high out into right center with some carry. It's got a chance. This ball is out of here. Tucker Bradley has won it.
Just sit back, relax, and prepare yourself for these hot takes you're about to listen to.
All right, welcome back for a special episode of Classic City Sports. As always, Jeremiah Stoddard along with Jonathan Williams. And our special guest today, no stranger to the show. We got Frazier on here. He is overseas in Italy right now, still balling out and everything. So if the connection isn't the best in the world right now, just forgive us a little bit. But he's sacrificing his time. It's a little later in the day, obviously, there. So, appreciate you coming on, man. How's it going?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. And just for correct, I'm in Turkey now. Not in the
Turkey,
show,
okay.
Everything,
Turkey now.
Everything is going well. Thanks for having me again.
Awesome. For sure. Well, we appreciate it. JJ's got a lot of big stuff going on in life right now, so he's making moves and everything. So we appreciate him giving us a little bit of time for it. But we won't hold up. We'll go straight into everything. So we got some Mike White hire conversation that we need to get into here. Kind of just how you're feeling about Mike White and the direction of Georgia's program right now. So we'll just start with Mike White as a hire in general first, if that's all right with you, JJ.
Yeah, I think Mike White was a good hire. I think I played against Mike White in the 14. I would say my college because he was at La Tech and we played him in the NIT, I believe. Yeah, so I have a ton of respect. Obviously, he coached at Florida while I was there as well. So we played against him 5 or 6 times. I mean, he's a winner. He understands basketball, and I tell people at the very least, he can do what he did at Georgia. So there's no doubt that he would be successful. I mean, it's time, but maybe not because with the transfer. For them, like I said, he's a catcher as a person. We might can get a few years, maybe not next year, but a year after and a year after. That could be one of the turning points. But I believe in the program going to the right future. And, I'm very excited about the Mike White hire.
Yeah, I think we got on the same page at first, with this whole thing as well. It wasn't, the name we were looking for. I know we all talked about we wanted Jonas Hayes to get a chance to come back home and coach. And I don't think that's necessarily out the door entirely. Maybe come on as an assistant at some point or something in the future. And maybe he can still come home. But, we kind of looked into everything with Mike White. And, I think he's a good hire too. It's somebody that can kind of help you turn this program around for what's left after Tom Crean has, put the program where it's at this point. So now we can actually see what he can put together. It's going to give it a little bit of time to build. You've got to give him some time to put that roster together. But then I think he's the guy that's going to be able to get you back dancing again. I'm not saying he's a guy that's going to turn this program into a Final Four team in the next 4 or 5 years, but he's a guy that could get you dancing in the national, in the national tournament again. And that's what you needed. Yeah, he'll take you dancing, and that's what you need. That's what you're looking for, somebody that can get you back to that, because that's where we were, right on the brinks of it when you were there, and when Mark Fox was there, was right there at those getting tournament invites and stuff like that, which, you got to get back to that spot now that you got, somebody else in the door. And that's what was expected of Tom Crean, was to take you deep into a tournament or something like that. That obviously didn't work out. So now the next guy has to be somebody that can at least build you back up to tournament appearances.
I agree.
I think
Mike White.
No, you go ahead, JJ.
I think
something that important. I think it's just we got a little bit of delay, so I'm sorry.
Delay.
JJ, you go ahead. You take the floor. This is we brought you on here for you to talk, so you go ahead and talk.
Oh no, a little delay in the lag, but I was just saying that's why I was okay with the Mike White hire. I think for me, obviously, I wanted Jonas Hayes for reasons of just being a dog, and I believe in him. But as far as just a business decision, I think coming from the clean era, you needed someone who was um, mellow mannered. I would say he don't get too high, doesn't get too low. Um, he knows that when you're the captain of a ship, you have to be the most consistent with your mood and your interaction. So I think that's going to set a tone for the culture that will be built within the locker room, and eventually give us more respect around our program again.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge thing as well. Just kind of like the overall morale of the program. You could kind of see it throughout the last couple of seasons that there was just something different, something that wasn't working. Like things were not exactly gelling between the players and the coaching staff, just through their interactions on the sidelines, and just also if you ever listen to interviews after the game, it just seemed like something was a little bit off. So I think that's another great point that maybe a lot of people aren't
Yeah.
considering with Mike White coming to UGA is that he brings a different aspect to that. He knows how to manage a locker room, and that's a big deal when you have a
hmm
team in a sport that requires so much teamwork as well, because you have five guys on the floor and you got to be on the same page at all times. You got to know the pace of play and kind of what is expected of you and your teammates as well. So I think that's a great point that you bring up about Mike White, and just kind of not only getting the program back on track, but just kind of bringing up the morale in the locker room as well, and showing players that this is a good place to be. This is a family environment.
Yeah. That's for me. I mean, I've been too public about it, but I very much so support the high white. Like I said, like you said, I just a lot going on within my personal life and in my business aspirations. So, it was a really good hire for me. And hopefully, with the backing of the UGA athletic department, that he can get some resources and get into this facilities to upgrade a little bit, the gym to be upgraded a little bit, so he can have something more than just a lot of money for a staff. I think that's half of it. Yes, you need a great staff, but you want these kids to, especially with the NIL deals, you want these kids to look forward to something. And we can't just say, oh well, it's Georgia. Yeah, it's Georgia, but you only recognize that way in certain sports, and basketball isn't one of them at the moment.
Right.
So I think we
No.
have to look at Georgia as a total rebuild, to the point where we need to and allow Mike White to really truly um, put his vision, imprint his vision on the program, because I think he's the right man for the job. I truly believe that.
Yeah, I agree. And Jonathan and I kind of talked about that last week. Was the direction of this basketball program is dependent on what UGA's athletic department wants it to be. How much money they're willing to put in. I understand that football brings in a ton of money, and they just brought the national championship, so they're not going to want to pull funds away from that. But what you got to do is find those boosters and find those individuals that want to support the basketball program and insert that money in there as well. And it's up to Josh Brooks to get this program on that national type of level where it's actually recognized as somewhere that kids want to come, like you said, because they put money into the facilities. I don't care who you are. You're dealing with 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds going to school. They want to go somewhere that looks cool, that looks like it's going to be fun,
Yeah,
that looks like there's, good equipment and stuff like that. That stuff does matter. Like, yeah, being a good program matters, and like somewhere that they feel like they're going to get the chance to play and all that good stuff. It all matters. But it matters to them just as much, like that there's nice facilities, that the program itself is being respected by the athletic department, and that money's being put into them for them to
yeah,
succeed. And so if they're going to want, Mike White to get this team back to where it should be, they're going to have to be able to give him the money that he's requesting when he's trying to get stuff done.
yeah. I agree, and I'm not saying that. And just to clarify, I'm not saying that Josh Brooks and the athletic department has not or is not planning on doing anything in the future. I'm just stating from what I said at this point today, will help,
Right.
put on just for the program, so we can be in a much better situation 4 years from where we are today.
Yeah, agreed. And at this point, we got to give the benefit of the doubt to, Josh Brooks on it. He's the new AD. He has only been there for a couple of years, so he wasn't there or he wasn't the athletic director when Tom Crean was hired and that whole situation. So this is his first start with a coach that he got to bring into the building himself. So I do trust that. I think that he'll be willing to do more for Mike White and get him moving with all of that. I think that you can give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's done a lot for the football program. You've seen him help put more money into that and get them where they needed to be. When Kirby wanted something or needed something, he made sure that he took care of it. So I feel like he can build that same type of relationship. I'll give him, up front, I'm always the type of person that's going to give the benefit of the doubt to Josh Brooks on that and say that we'll see how it plays out, obviously. But I think that he would be willing to insert that into the basketball program for sure.
Yeah.
I think also part of I think also with the Mike White hire, I think purely off of the type of person that Josh Brooks brought in to run his basketball program, I think it shows you that he cares about his athletic programs, especially basketball, because regardless of what Florida fans thought about Mike White or not, he was a winner. He won a lot of games during his time at Florida. He had the most tournament wins and the most regular season wins other than Kentucky during his time at Florida. So he won a lot of games and he had quite a bit of success during his time at Florida. It was just that he ended up following the guy at the University of Florida who was just the king of everything. He was the king of basketball and Billy Donovan. And he did, exactly. Those are some big shoes to fill. So that's a hard act to follow up. So that he got the short end of the stick there, but here at UGA, he doesn't have the short end of the stick. He's following someone of Tom Crean who didn't bring a lot of success to the program. And so he doesn't have these huge shoes to fill. He's just coming in here to revamp the program, instill a winning atmosphere into Athens.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make 2 points. And this is all I wanted to say. I agree with both of that. Just to touch on this last part, I believe that Georgia has been successful. So it would be ignorant for people to say Georgia hasn't been successful in basketball because history has shown when flashes. However, there's never been sustained success. So I think that's the goal for us. We want consistent success. Whether we get to if we get 6 years out of Mike White and he goes 4 out of 6 years to the tournament, 3 out of 6 years to the tournament, I'm pretty sure he's going to get a contract extension. You understand what I'm saying? Because we haven't had that type of consistent success. That's sustained success, especially within the transfer portals where people will move in pieces all the time now. I think that's very, very difficult to handle, and he did a very, very good job of that over the last couple years at Florida. And just to touch on Josh Brooks, when Mike White was hired, obviously a lot of people were trying to slander the hire. It took me by surprise, I must admit. However, I had to look at it from Josh Brooks' standpoint because Jeremiah, you was correct. He wasn't on board or wasn't the guy in charge when Tom Crean was hired. So you have to look from his standpoint. He can't make that hire 2 times in a row. You understand what I'm saying? Like you can't have 2 guys come back to back like that. And as much as I feel like Josh Brooks probably did want Jonas and maybe have some traction, when you have a guy like Mike White that's out there, you have to, a lot of people call it safe. And sometimes it's okay to be safe. Like sometimes you don't always have to swing for the home run, swing for a single. And if you get 4 or 5 singles, you might score a couple runs. So that's the mindset, or that's the way I've decided to look at it. And with that aspect of it, it's a pretty positive outlook.
For sure. I think that's a great way to look at it. And you bring up a very, very valid point with, going the safe route right now is probably the smart way for Josh Brooks to approach it, like you said, because this program is at the worst that we've had it in a long, we're dead last in the SEC. Like it doesn't get much worse than that. Yeah. It doesn't get worse than that. Like this is the worst the program has been. And you're right as well. The program's had plenty of success down in the past. And that's something that people should remember as well. It's just been inconsistencies, and it's been a while at this point. Recent history says this program is in shambles, and that's because of the last realm in Athens there did not do what everybody thought was going to happen. Mike White's a guy that's going to be consistent for you. I really believe that as well. I think he's going to be able to bring that. He did that at Florida, right? Like his first year as a head coach at Florida, it was an NIT tournament bid. Every single year after that, up to last year, he was in the NCAA tournament, and he got to at least the round of 32. So he won the first game every single year at least, and he had I think it was an Elite Eight. Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was an Elite Eight appearance. Yeah. So he had that. I think exactly. And so he's had that success consistently across the board. And like you said earlier, Jonathan, Florida fans aren't the biggest fan of him because he hasn't gone further than the round of 32. And, since, the Elite Eight several years ago. So the fans weren't so happy with him. It was also coming off who was there beforehand plays a big part in that as well. So I think as Georgia fans, just because Florida fans may not be so happy, or may be kind of happy that he left, doesn't mean the Georgia fans shouldn't be happy that he's coming to Georgia to build the program back up. I think that's what people need to focus on.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a perfect way to put it. Don't always think the grass is greener, because obviously we see wasn't. Water grass that we have. Water the grass you have, put some sunlight on it. Let it give it a chance to really grow, and let's see what we got. I didn't like the time Cree hired from the very first time. But this hire just feels different. It feels genuine. It feels thought out. It don't feel rushed. Like I feel like we got them. I think this is a great hire.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think talking about the transfer portal, as you saw it last year of how quickly other teams were able to benefit off of the players that entered the portal from UGA. Kentucky was able to pick up a Severe Wheeler, and Auburn was able to get KD Johnson. Dayton was able to get Tamani Kamara. Ole Miss was able to get Ty Fagan. So there's always some quality basketball players that are coming into the portal because there's so much movement. You see it in football every year, and you're seeing it a lot in basketball, especially now. And so even Georgia was able to get some quality pieces out of the portal this year, regardless of what the record says. They got some good players to come play for their team this year, Cario Quindo and some other guys like that to come to Georgia. So especially when you have a guy like Mike White coming in as well, I think that draws even more attention to your program. And he's even said that he wants to have a presence in the state of Georgia recruiting. He said the first thing that we're going to try and do is emphasize recruiting the Atlanta area, specifically around the areas of Athens as well. So I think when you combine those two things, and you combine a guy that knows what success looks like, and you combine his experience of a winning basketball program, I just think it's a perfect match made in heaven almost for UJ to go and get a Mike White. Like you said, JJ, is when you see a guy like Mike White out there and he checks all the boxes for you, you got to go that route, regardless of who you wanted or the other names out there. If you got a guy like that who really cares and understands what you're trying to do, you got to go that route, and you got to give him a chance.
And I would say this, man. I hate that. It's not that I'm not a big Mike White fan, but I want people to be, because I feel like he's big for us. Being able to with the recruiting aspect of it, I think he's a better than I think people actually credit for, if that makes sense. I think Mike White gets coach, but I believe the recruiting aspect of it, like your mind getting out and going into the trenches and doing the dirty work to build a foundation of this and the style of play he actually wants to play. I think that's going to take the most time, more than the actual winning, if that makes sense. I think getting the pieces he needs on the drawing board, on the chessboard to play, I think that may take more time than the culture building or the actual winning.
Absolutely. Let's not get 2 years in and have him say that he shouldn't have kept Tom Crean's guys on the, roster. Let's maybe not do that.
Yeah,
But to build up his own guys through, but build up his own guys through recruiting
yeah,
and even the transfer portal and stuff like that, to be able to really build it in, like Jonathan and y'all hit on earlier, or that you hit on, JJ, earlier, with the transfer portal the way it is. You do expect him to be able to be successful by year 3. I think that that's a realistic expectation because of the way basketball is. You only got 5 guys on the court at a time, so you don't have to go out here and recruit, 80 guys like in football or something
and
like
you
that.
really
Like
just
it's
need
it's
two
you know
stars. You just need two
exactly.
stars and a role player so that how hard
Yep.
to play. You know,
Exactly. You go get that, and then all of a sudden you've got a program that's worth something at this point, just like that. It can even
hmm
be, it could be a freshman. You can get a baller as a freshman because that's how basketball works. There's a reason there's a one and done rule in college, is because these guys are NBA level after 1 year. So you can get a freshman, in the recruiting class. Go make some, big name kid come to your school. Then maybe you get another one through the transfer portal, and all of a sudden you've got something to work with. That's why I say in this day and age with basketball. And we said this with Tom Crean too. That's why we were going into year 4 with him. We were like, all right, we got it. This is the year that we, wanted something more out of him. Didn't get it out of him like we thought. But at this point, I think that's a realistic expectation, is 3 seasons with Mike White. You should be successful again. And I'm not saying you have to win the SEC or something like that, but you dang shouldn't be bottom of the barrel 3 years in a row in the SEC. Yeah, agreed.
Yes.
yeah, he should be
Agreed.
top 8. Maybe not next year, but he would be top 8. I think year 3 he'll be top 6, top 5, and I think that year 4, 5, 6 you can see us into the top 3, 4 consistently. And I think at that point that's all you need to get into the NCAA, because the SEC is becoming stronger and stronger. And so with that,
Right.
it'll be up with the non-conference schedule, non-conference games through 3 or 4 games. Lose 4 or 5 in conference, 5 or 6 in conference. Automatically, you in there 4 or better seeds, in the SEC. So I think just with that type of thinking, that type of math, that's doable for Mike White. That's very, very doable for Mike White. So I'm very
For sure.
optimistic about our future in Georgia basketball.
Awesome. Well, hey, Jonathan, you have anything else or any other questions or anything? I don't want to hold JJ up too long. I know it's late over there in Turkey.
No, I'm good. I just always want to thank you, JJ, for hopping on with us. We love having you as a guest, and we always appreciate your insight, because as much as I love basketball, I can't exactly provide the insight or the knowledge that you can, especially someone that's played in college. So we just thank you for taking time out of your day and your priorities to come on here and chop it up with us.
Yeah, man, your bros, it's the Triple J show. So
That's right.
everyone be on here, and the time is permitted. I definitely come on here with anything, because anything UGA, I'm in tune with it. So, like I said, man,
That's
the
it.
pleasure and honor is all mine.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, if you got anything else you want to say, you're welcome to now. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap it up and let you get on with your day. I know you got family you got going on over there. You got stuff to take care of.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I just want to say to Dog Nation, give them a chance. Give them a true chance. It's not gonna always be. Mistakes will happen, but let's give them a true chance. I believe this hire is worth everything. I think it's going to benefit us in the long run. I think what we can do for him is give him unlimited and unconditional backing and support, so he knows that winning or losing, failing, Dog Nation will have Mike White's back, and the boys that's in the locker room that he's leading. So I think that's my main goal, and that's what I'm gonna be pushing throughout the year.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate it, JJ. Once again, we will definitely have you on the show again. I know, especially once you come back into the States, maybe we'll get you in the studio with us one day. I know you're coming back this summer at some point, so we'll get you.
Yes,
we'll hang
sir.
out with you and stuff like that. So, as always, guys, keep it classy in the Classic City. We will catch you guys later this week.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Dogs Daily on Sports Illustrated. Take a second to subscribe, rate, review, and share with your friends and family. Feel free to reach out to the Dogs Daily crew on Twitter with any topics you'd like discussed. You can reach out to Jeremiah at Jeremiah_Stod7, to Kyle at DK Fubderberg, and Jonathan at 22_J-Man. Check back next week for a brand new episode. In the meantime, go Dogs!